Smart24, driving business.
Yes, we are discussing upholding business resilience amidst economic and political challenges. And many thanks for sticking to Smart24 TV, wherever you are. And I'm still with Honorable Henry Banyenzachi. We are discussing some of the things. I do understand some of us do blame the government on viable situations. And of course, you have your issues with it. And then to the business community, some of us neglect these issues, and not until they affect us directly. And I think, Honorable, that is one of the things that Ugandans have mastered. I don't know, we tend to be comfortable with making money, and we rarely focus on some of the things that are going to affect our businesses in the long run.
Like?
For example, if you look at some of the business people, for example, in Chikubo, they do not care about any bill that is being passed in Parliament. And so at the end of the day, it is after it starts affecting them directly. That is when
I don't know why you're even tasking the Chikubo mine business.
No, I feel they should at least this conversation.
Why?
Because at the end of the day, you get to realize
public sector should facilitate the private sector.
Because they've completely failed.
The job of the private sector, the job of a businessman in Chikubo,
is to make the money.
The job of a farmer in Rwanda.
Yes.
For him is to make sure that he grows his food and gets market, and the money in Chikubo is to make money. It's not about making policies. He should not focus on policies. That's not his business.
Okay.
His business is looking at government to facilitate him. So the issue is, what are the roles of the private sector and what are the role of the public sector? Each one has its role. So for you to say that the private sector should come and police the public sector.
We need these voices heard.
No.
At the end of the day.
The public sector has an obligation to facilitate the private sector. In the process of government, public sector facilitating the private sector, the business community to do business.
Okay.
This business shouldn't be coming to police the public sector to say that please do us a favor. It should be even the public sector which are doing the good laws, the bills that we're talking about, the policies that facilitate the public sector, so that the public sector does his work. Specialized. When we remember when we were in our O level, there was specialization of jobs.
Yes, very true.
So the specialization of the private sector is business, making money, creating more money, creating more wealth. The specialization of the public sector is facilitating the private sector, is facilitating the businessman to make more money, because that is what the private sector is paid for. And remember, it is this businessman, the private sector, that is paying the public sector to do that job. So you don't tell this private sector that they're not doing their work, come and start sniffing their noses into the political environment, into the policies, into the bills. Do they know?
No, they don't.
What they know is to make money.
Okay, Honorable.
And they are doing their job to make money.
After the break, before the break, we were mentioning about
a coffee farmer.
Yes.
What he knows is how to take care of his coffee.
Non-politics.
So you want a coffee farmer to live who is making coffee, growing his coffee?
No.
To come in Parliament to start.
What would be the because sometimes you get
what will be the job
when you
of
ask
the Parliament?
Most of them have
we members of Parliament. We go to the people and say we want to represent you. It is their representatives
that is supposed to focus
take
more
their views and focus on the bills and the good laws, good policies. That is their mandate.
Okay.
So it's not the mandate of private sector to start
to play the political part.
So don't blame them.
Okay. Honorable, we were mentioning about, before the break initially, we were mentioning about why we're having this gap widening between the poor and the rich becoming extremely rich. And this is not only happening in Uganda. Look at people in Kenya as well. Apparently, this is something that is chewing up the East African Community region. The relation between these two
are you sure with the example of Kenya which we are given?
Yes, just recently with the
see how many millionaires are in Kenya.
No, the millionaires are quite many. If you're to look at Kenya's strategy now, is that those who are earning more than 3 million Ugandan shillings are actually increasing. Just recently, a report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics rather. For them, they are saying they are having more of the Kenyans who are earning more than 100,000 Kenyan shillings.
And what about here?
Now, here in Uganda, the report we had is that we only have 2% of Ugandans earning $1 million. So now, when you look at the other situation, but we are seeing people who have money. And then the poor are becoming completely poor.
The gap between the rich and the poor is widening.
Yes.
And we are seeing a small percentage of the population, which is even, it could be less than 5%. Okay? Or 10% if I become genius. It can't be 10%. It can even be 2% who are multi-billionaires, who are thinking rich, who are accumulating wealth. Some who have even gone to the levels of primitive accumulation of wealth. And we are having a population of 90 plus who are sliding to 80. First of all, we have a population of something like 60% who are sliding to poverty. We are having a population of the youth of up to 80%, 60%, 60 to 80% unemployed. But we are having this small group
that is enjoying the privileges.
Yes. You see arcades mushrooming in Kampala, owned by few individuals.
But they're empty.
You see apartments mushrooming everywhere in every suburb in Kampala, often owned by people.
Very true.
So which means the gap between the rich and the poor
is just widening, not becoming.
You go on our roads of Kampala, for example, the border. You have nowhere to pass because of the borders. Because the youth have become so desperate and they are becoming into border business. And you have graduates going into border business. And that means it disguised employment. So the issue of widening gap between the poor and the rich, again, it brings us back to planning. If you don't do the right planning, that you don't plan for all, or equitable distribution of wealth, and you plan in such a way that the money is going to be grabbed by the few, the money is not going to work for the population. The taxes, the tax collection, or the money that's within the armpit of the government is going to be consumed by the few. It's going to be working for the elite class, who are very few, not elite political class. Okay?
Yes.
Then you are going to have a distorted kind of wealth distribution. And definitely, true, the gap is increasing. And then we are having even people who are within the private sector who with no shame, and they flash that kind of wealth to the eyes of the people.
Okay.
And that's why I salute the Inspector General of Government, Kenya, when he came up with the proposal and said we do the lifestyle audit.
To see how much.
To see you 2%. Where did you get this money?
That you're spending
lavishly. That you are spending lavishly. How can you be earning 3 million
and you're living a lifestyle of
but you are living a lifestyle where you spend 3 million shillings per day, or you spend 10 million shillings per day, and yet you earn 3 million per month? Where are you getting this money?
That you earn, that you are spending, yes.
That you're spending this like this. Your salary is 3 million, but you are driving a car of 1 billion. Where do you get the money? So this small population, actually, I agree with Great Cabinet.
Their portions.
There should be a lifestyle audit. Because this 3% or this small percentage that has terrorized our development. Because we are the country, Uganda, we are seeing this root cause of corruption, bad governance. Our potential is very high. Would be a first world economy. Would be like Singapore, with with whom we were at the same level in 1972. Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, the Asian tigers. You are talking about Kenya. Kenya's economy is 4 times our economy. I'm not saying that Kenya is a perfect example, but see, four times economy, and the Uganda has a comparative advantage in agriculture. We have more minerals, we have more edible land than Kenya. The only thing that Kenya has is the coast. But we also have Lake Victoria, which is an inland sea that we could have used. We have Port Bay, an inland port that we should have been using. But what is the potential? How are we using Port Bay? Maybe 1% of the kind of trade that will be passing through Port Bay. Because we killed the railway that was connecting through Port Bay to Kisumu, to Mwanza, from Mwanza to, because in essence the railway would be coming from Mombasa to Mwanza, Mombasa, from Mombasa to Kisumu, from Dar es Salaam to Mwanza, and the railway system continues on there. When the ship reaches here, and still it's the railway system. Cheap transport is a clearing of goods. Who would be having our own port? Clearing, who would be clearing our ports? And on an inland port, right? We are now this proposal to build another port, which was across the new port. But if we have failed to maintain a Port Bay, how shall we maintain a new one? Look at the industry. Jinja was an industrial city.
It was the industrial city that we had. Now Kampala is not.
Now what is it?
It's more of a shadow city.
It's now a skeletal city.
We're living in the past.
It's the Nyege city, where you have one event called Nyege, and you have the former Speaker of Parliament, who is an icon of people. That's part of the region, fighting with other parliament and saying that this is our opportunity to make money. What happened? What went wrong? What went wrong to ginger that used to produce coal? What happened to ginger?
But also, in the sense of tourism, it does make sense.
What kind of tourism are you talking about? Is it sustainable tourism of one day?
It was a
what kind of tourism? If you are telling me that ginger, that region is utilizing the potential of tourism of the Nile, yes. What are you doing with the Nile? What are you doing with the Nile? I've been on the Nile, the top of the Nile. Amazing story. How much income is coming from the Nile? But we live to go and, even in that Lake Victoria, that Nile itself is a potential tourism. Talk about it. But how much are we getting? And why are we not getting it? Poor planning. Poor planning.
Is it now, as we are looking into 2023, I do believe when the president will actually be having the State of the Nation prayer a few weeks to come. These are some of the things that we shall be hopeful about, how the economy is going to grow tremendously. The ongoing US Africa Summit.
It's like I'm feeling summarize this debate and then we go.
When you
let the United States,
right
people
Africa Summit
do the right jobs.
Okay.
Use the right people to run for the country. Use the right people to do the implementation. Use the right people to do whatever they are doing.
Okay.
Use the right people who will not steal the country resources.
But where are they going to come from? Because some people realize even the ones that we believe will do better once they reach the office.
I ask you this question. What have you asked? Where are they going to?
Yes, because that is the same question.
All these, when the Chinese come here, we sold the parastatals. We sold government companies that are not performing very well. That they personate the people. What there is corruption, there is what? Who do we say them to?
You're selling them to foreigners.
Where are the foreigners located?
Some of them are not actually here.
They are here. Okay? Those companies are here. Whom are they employing?
Uganda.
So why are you asking me that where the people come from?
So because the top
Who are
office
the
is
engineers? When we say that we cannot do roads, these roads have to be contracted to Chinese. Are the Chinese using Chinese engineers? No, they are using Ugandan engineers. When we gave away Ugandan electricity, Ugandan electricity, UEB board, and we gave it to Umeme,
its concession is
which is the parastatal body of the, which is has the parastatal body of this ESCOM, which is South Africa, whatever it is, these other British companies, all of them. Who did they employ? They employed Ugandans. Uganda Telecom went to pay to work and we say and blah 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 blah. Now we bring in, let's say, MTN, whatever. Who is working with Uganda?
I actually wanted to.
Are they Ugandans?
In our last.
So what are you telling me that we don't have Ugandans to run this business?
As we is.
It is the culture
That we created.
It is the culture that has got working culture, the mindset
Of Ugandans. Okay. Alright, but lastly, remember, you did mention about the Uganda Electricity Board. Now in 2025, a report was released that Umeme's concession will not be renewed. So once it expires in March 2025, it will be the end of the journey for many. Many Ugandans are happy about that. What next for the energy sector, especially when it comes to electricity regulation? Are we seeing another parastatal coming in?
You see, Umeme
Yes.
is on the tail end of the energy sector.
Okay.
On the forefront of the energy sector is the generation
Of the electricity?
of the electricity,
Okay.
which generates the electricity, passes it on to the transmission company, which is Uganda Electricity Transmission Company.
Okay.
The other one is Uganda Generation Company, Transmission Company, and the transmission company gives it to Umeme for distribution. So if you don't work on this chain and make it cheap and affordable, then the energy chain is going to be affected. So even if Umeme goes and you don't work on the generation, you don't work on the transmission, then the distribution is going to be affected. And when we are talking about all this kind of stuff, how are we using the renewable energy? We could be using Uganda can use solar energy. It can use 70% solar energy. We can light all our houses using solar energy. Have we facilitated it? Are we facilitating, for example, when you go into a quarry, have we facilitated this business? Cow dung to produce gas and use that gas for cooking, or we are busy cutting trees.
Okay.
This solar we could use this solar energy to light our houses and even to cook. But we are not tapping into these gifts that nature is providing.
Okay.
So then remember that we are talking about what we are talking another parastatal. It's already done deal. Another parastatal created. I think they are calling it Uganda Energy or just a company limited.
Okay.
It's already in market. But if you don't put the right people in these companies,
It will still mess up.
it will mess. There will be more of a mess.
Okay. Many thanks for joining us for this particular conversation, Honorable. And surely it will be a pleasure to have you again. Now, to our dear viewers, we were basically discussing upholding business resilience amidst economic and political challenges, and I've been having Honorable Henry Banyanzachi from the Operation Wealth Creation, and of course, from a Member of Parliament for Uganda West. And of course, I do believe the discussions he has had and the conversations we've been having here have been quite insightful, and they do bring out the matters that affect the political and at least a way forward to how we shall overcome. I'm Joran Paul Sonko, and this is the POLICON, where we discuss politics and economics. It is the festive season. It's right for me to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Get us on GoTV channel 394, DSTV's channel 372, and also on social media, Twitter, Smart24 TV, Facebook, Smart24 TV official, Instagram is Smart24_TV, and also do not forget LinkedIn. And then our YouTube channel, Smart24 TV Live, for all programming as well as live shows that do happen here. But do remember to subscribe. Till next time, have a good stay.